I'm sick. Singin' in the Rain. So Singin' in the Rain came out in 1952 and has gathered quite the reputation as being the best movie musical ever made. And while I wouldn't say it's the best, it is pretty close. Singin' in the Rain is just one of those musicals where every time I watch it, I'm blown away by the sheer amount of talent on and off the screen. And it proves that jukebox musicals don't have to be bad, they just most of the time are. Now, for those of you who don't know, a jukebox musical is a musical where none of the songs are original. They're pre-existing, and how it usually goes is that they take a playlist of songs and then have to retrofit in a story to try to connect them. And 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work, but Singin' in the Rain is the one time. But what is Singin' in the Rain about? Well, it focuses on a period in history that doesn't often get talked about, and that's when Hollywood had to transition from silent cinema to the talkies. And that monumental year was 1927 with The Jazz Singer, the first movie to ever have synchronized dialogue, even if it was just for the musical numbers. But more specifically, this story focuses on Don Lockwood, played by Gene Kelly, and he's this silent action hero Douglas Fairbanks type. And it's kind of funny he's playing this type of character here because ever since I saw Gene Kelly in the Three Musketeers movie, I always lumped him in with actors like Errol Flynn and Tyrone Power as these kind of swashbuckling adventurers. Not knowing, of course, that he's also one of the best tap dancers of all time. But it's still funny seeing him play this Douglas Fairbanks, Errol Flynn type character in Singin' in the Rain. And this is Gene Kelly's movie through and through. He helped direct it, he choreographed it, and he is the star of this movie. And all of his talents are on full display here. His singing, his acting, and especially his dancing. I'm not exaggerating when I say that this movie has some of the best tap dancing segments ever put to film. But Gene Kelly's Don Lockwood does not carry this movie alone. He's also accompanied with his best friend Cosmo Brown, played by Donald O'Connor. And not only is he talented enough to hang with Gene Kelly's choreography, he's also the perfect comic for Gene Kelly's straight man. But their lives are not all sunshine and roses, because you've also got Lena Lamont, played by Jean Hagen, and she is the thorn in the side of Don Lockwood this whole movie, because she's convinced that she's a lot more talented than she actually is, and doesn't think that her voice is the most annoying thing on earth.
For heaven's sake, what's the big idea? Can't a girl get a word in edgewise?
And what really gets under Lockwood's skin is the fact that she's convinced that he's in love with her and wants to marry her, because according to Cosmo, she's irresistible. She told him so herself. But where the plot really gets going is when Don Lockwood meets Kathy Selden, played by Debbie Reynolds, and she's an aspiring actress. She wants to go on Broadway, and she doesn't think too highly of movie actors. But naturally a romance sparks between Kathy and Don, and that of course makes Lena jealous. And I know that's kind of a bare bones plot, but where this movie really excels is 1, the musical numbers, which I'm gonna get to, and 2, how they tell this other story at the same time of Hollywood adapting to this new innovation called synchronized sound. And it's a secondary story that makes Singin' in the Rain so entertaining as a movie. From the very beginning, you get the vibe that this movie doesn't try to accurately depict the 1920s as it was, but more of a caricature of how it felt to be in the 1920s, while at the same time poking fun at all the hypocrisies and just how fake Hollywood culture was and still is. And while the clothing and the personalities and the reactions are all very much exaggerated, the motivations are surprisingly authentic. You get a good feel of the hesitancy and then later frustration in trying to use this new talking picture technology. And as someone who loves history, especially film history, this is all really cool to see. But now let's talk about the part of this movie that actually matters and why it got made in the first place, the musical numbers. These musical numbers do not disappoint. And the first big musical number that we get is Make 'Em Laugh. Now Make 'Em Laugh is important for a couple reasons. First of all, it's the first non-diegetic song that we get in this movie. Being a jukebox musical, they usually make most, if not all of the songs non-diegetic. I mean, just look at Mamma Mia. Most of that movie is just people busting out into song and dance just because they feel like it. But Singin' in the Rain takes a different approach. For instance, the first few songs that we get in Singin' in the Rain are diegetic. They're performances within the world that people are reacting to as if they were watching a show. And this makes Make 'Em Laugh special because it's the first time in this movie where we see someone break out into song and dance and it's not a paid performance. But the other thing that makes Make 'Em Laugh special is that it's one of only 2 songs that were made specifically for this movie, which might disqualify this as a jukebox musical, but Make 'Em Laugh is so similar to Be a Clown from The Pirate that I still consider it basically a pre-existing work. Just one that's copyright friendly. And who can't talk about Make 'em Laugh without talking about the A-plus slapstick from Donald O'Connor. Make 'em Laugh is a masterclass in slapstick. All the gags are there. You got pratfalls, you have them getting hit in the head. You have pretty much every form of physical comedy that you can imagine in this one number, and it is fantastic. Now the next song is You Were Meant for Me, and this is the big love ballad between Don Lockwood and Kathy Selden, and it's romantic and it's slow and it's dreamy and everything, and it's good, but this is where trying to tell which songs are diegetic and which songs aren't is becoming a little more difficult, because in this song, and while I'm thinking about it, all the numbers in this movie are performed by characters who in the world know how to sing and dance. So it's not that big of a stretch when someone just starts expressing themselves in song and dance when that character is established to be able to sing and dance. And if you need any more proof, just look at Lena Lamont. She can't sing, can't dance, and she gets 0 song and dance numbers in this whole movie. So following that logic, I guess you could kind of classify all of these numbers as diegetic, that they do exist in this movie, even Make 'em Laugh. But I still call them non-diegetic because there's no official established source of the music where it's coming from. So I guess that's where I would draw the line, but I don't know. Comment below. Do you think that all the songs in this musical are diegetic? And where do you draw the line? Let me know. But moving on to the next big number, we have my favorite song in the movie. And this is the second and final song written originally for this movie. And it's Moses Supposes. And don't ask me why this is my favorite, I have no idea. It just really made me laugh as a kid, and still makes me laugh today. I just love seeing this proper British dialect coach just get wrecked by the antics of Cosmo and Don. And just like all the other numbers in this movie, the tap dancing here is insane. It's so fast and with so much energy, and man, I wish I was that talented. And speaking of insane choreography, we then go on to Good Morning, which this is the number where Debbie Reynolds has to hang with the big boys, and she's gone on record saying that she has no dancing experience, and she was basically starting from scratch when the rehearsal started. How? How can she nail this crazy choreography with 0 experience? She found a new talent, I guess. I mean, between her and Dick Van Dyke, maybe more actors should just be thrown into crazy choreography and see what happens. You might get some really good dancers out of it. But I guess it can't be that hard to keep up when you're dressed like Quicksilver from X-Men. But now we have the big finale climactic musical number, Broadway Melody. This is the one where they threw all the money, all the budget, all the choreography, all the effects, and it makes absolutely no sense. And it's actually my least favorite number in the movie. I know a lot of people like it, and it is impressive from a technical perspective, but let me explain. The whole rest of this movie is so grounded in the world of the 1920s that it's created for itself. And like I explained earlier with diegesis, it doesn't force you to suspend your disbelief so much because all the characters are actors and dancers and performers, so when they perform in a musical number, it's not that weird. But all that goes out the window with Broadway Melody. I know that in the context of the story, it's framed where Don Lockwood is explaining the Broadway Melody segment to the producer, because that's going to be the big opening for the movie that they're trying to make within the movie. But even that doesn't really hold up to scrutiny, because what we know of the movie The Dancing Cavalier so far, it doesn't line up to what we're seeing in this segment. Sure, it starts off similar enough. You have a young hoofer who's looking to star in a Broadway show and everything, and he's got big dreams. But that's really where it ends. We don't see the sandbag hit him on the head. We don't even really see him star in a Broadway show. We just see this guy get picked up by an agent and then montage through him, getting higher up in the ranks of Broadway. And then it takes a turn to the speakeasy and gangsters and gangster life, and this woman played by Shid Cerise who might be a Wizard of Oz type parallel to Lena Lamont, and I don't know, it doesn't line up all that well, and it just feels like an excuse to have Gene Kelly do his Gene Kelly thing for 15 to 20 minutes, which is way too long, by the way. And part of me feels bad ragging on this segment because it is really impressive. The sets look really cool, the coloring, the lighting, the dancing and choreography, it's all really impressive and looks great, but it does nothing to further the rest of the story, which I guess wouldn't hurt so much if I wasn't so invested in this 1920s drama that was going on. Because again, I love Hollywood history. But even so, Singin' in the Rain is a fantastic musical, and it is a testament to what jukebox musicals can be if they really tried. The dancing is incredible, the camera work is great, it's shot in long takes where you really get a sense of the choreography that's on display, and all of the actors do a phenomenal job with the roles that they're given. Singin' in the Rain is just a classic movie musical that should be watched time and time again. If you've never watched it, check it out. If you haven't seen it in a while, watch it again. It's well worth the time. But now I turn it over to you guys. Where do you draw the line of what is diegetic versus non-diegetic in Singin' in the Rain? How much of it is in-universe or just for the audience's benefit? I don't know, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, so leave that below. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content, and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video. And as always, I'm Colby. This is my nerdy talk, and I'll see you in the next video.